Hey, so I get asked quite a bit about the sub 5 minute mile and what does it take in order to run a sub 5 minute mile. So, what are sub 5 minute mile workouts that I can do in order to run under the 5 minute mile barrier? And running a sub 5 minute mile is definitely going to take a great deal of focus on the part of the athlete. You have to have a level, you do have to have some talent in order to break a sub 5 minute mile. The athletes that are going after this particular time, you don't necessarily need to have high mileage in order to break a 5 minute mile. If you're doing 20 to 25 miles a week, you can definitely pack in sufficient training, even with that amount of training, in order to run a sub 5 minute mile. But you definitely do have to have the focus, and you do have to have the drive and motivation in order to become a sub 5 minute miler. So, particular sub 5 minute mile workouts will definitely get you on the path to becoming a sub 5 minute miler. Let's discuss these sub 5 minute mile workouts. I kind of made a few notes just to give you an idea of what I particularly would be going for if I was going for a sub 5 minute mile. When I was in high school, I started off running the mile in 5:30. Ended up as a freshman lowering it down to 5:09 by the end of my freshman year, and then by the end of my senior year I ended up running 4:25, and when I was in college I lowered it down another 3 seconds to 4:22. So found out that the marathon was more of my event, but you got to find what works for you. And if you're wanting and desiring a sub 5 minute mile, you have to put in the heavy work. So the first suggestion is doing 8 quarters on the track in 80 seconds. That's earlier on in your training, and then having a 2 minute rest in between each one of those repetitions, and then moving it as you get further out into your training block to 12 quarters, and doing those 12 quarters between 76 seconds to 78 seconds with only 1 minute rest. And again, this is what we focus on with the RunDreamAchieve training programs. I have 1 miler training programs all the way up to marathon training programs for beginners all the way up to elite level athletes. So again, we focus on first stressing the anaerobic systems of the body first. So you're going to obviously not be doing those 8 quarters in 76 to 78 seconds early. You want to allow your body time to adapt to the stresses you're throwing at it, and then after an allotted period of time of doing those 8 quarters in 80 seconds with 2 minutes rest, you go into doing 12 quarters, 3 times the distance that you're trying to race at. Obviously, you're doing 3 times the 1 mile event. So it's going to build that strength and stamina that you need, and you're going to be doing those quarters between 76 seconds to 78 seconds, just only a few seconds slower than your goal 1 mile race pace, which is 74 to 75 seconds per quarter, but you're doing 4 of those in a row, and that's the big difference. So you want to do over the distance, so you want to do between 8 to 12 quarters, so you're doing more than the 4 reps you're going to have to do on the track, but there's no rest in those reps. So to hold 74 to 75 seconds per quarter 4 times in a row, you have to build that strength and stamina. I mean, a sub 5 minute mile is very, very fast. 4:59 or faster involves that speed, and you have to put in the work, the mileage. You have to put in the mileage. You have to put in focusing on the other things, the rest period, making sure that you're jogging on your recovery days. These are just specific sub 5 minute mile workouts that I would be focusing on if I were you, and say you're a 5:30 miler right now and you want to run 4:59. These are the types of workouts I would start really drilling down on. And again, if you have a plan, then you already know what you need to be doing. So again, definitely consider investing in yourself and getting one of the training programs that are on RunDreamAchieve.com. You don't necessarily have to, but I know what works and what doesn't work, and what brought me down to a 4:22 mile is incorporated into those 1 miler training programs. So definitely consider that. Next workout I would consider is doing a tempo run of 4 miles, and doing that tempo run 6-minute mile pace. And again, that's earlier on in your training block. And again, let me stress this in terms of these sub 5 minute mile workouts. Do not even attempt to start doing these types of workouts without first building that aerobic base of mileage first. You want to spend at least around 4 to 8 weeks running easy base mileage before you move into any types of these types of specific types of workouts, because these workouts are going to test you mentally. They're going to take almost everything out of you physically. So you want to be very strong. You want to have already laid that foundation of knowledge before you start into any of these types of workouts. None of us just jump into doing hard VO2 max type workouts, anaerobic threshold workouts where you're running at very high percentages of your maximum heart rate. So doing a 4-mile tempo earlier on at 6-minute mile pace, and then as you get fitter and you've adapted to that particular effort, then you start moving into doing a 4-mile tempo between 5:45 and 5:50 mile pace. So again, it's 4 miles, and you're running only a few seconds slower than really your goal race pace, which is under 5-minute mile pace. So think of what a 1 mile, how much strength and stamina you're going to build by doing a 4-mile tempo run at 5:45 mile pace. You're really going to build that strength and stamina that you need in this particular event. So you want to do the speed, but you also want to do those harder anaerobic threshold runs for a longer period of time, so that you've built not only the speed, but you've also built the strength and stamina that you're going to need to be able to really maintain that effort for the entire mile. So again, it's a mile's only four laps, but you got to hold under 75 seconds per quarter. So definitely consider that. I would do a 4-mile tempo at 6-minute mile pace earlier on, and then gradually get to where I'm fit enough to hold 6 miles or 4 miles at 5:45 mile pace. So next workout, sub 5-minute mile workout I would be doing would be earlier on in my training would be a 5 times 1K on the track or on the roads, and doing those 1Ks with a 2-minute rest, doing those 1Ks in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And again, always focus on adaptation. Don't be in a rush regarding this, because a sub 5-minute mile is going to ask everything out of you. It is not an average time. To break a sub 5-minute mile, you've got to be razor sharp, disciplined, 100% focused on what you're wanting to do. There's not many athletes that do this. When you look at the general population, a sub 5-minute mile takes a great deal of effort. It does take talent, but if you're lacking in talent, you can always make up for it with your work ethic. So definitely rely on your heart, rely on your mind and your mental capacity and what you can bring out of yourself. There's no test for the power of the mind. And obviously there's VO2 max tests and physiological tests that exercise physiologists can do on athletes, but it's very difficult to test the power of the mind. And the mind controls the body, not the other way around. So in terms of the 1Ks, 5 times 1K at 3 minutes and 30 seconds with 2 minutes rest earlier on in your training. And then as you get fitter, I would start focusing on trying to aim to do those 5 times 1K on the track or on the roads between 3 minutes and 23 seconds to 3 minutes and 25 seconds with only a 90-second rest. So again, this is what we teach in the training programs and the courses as well. As you get fitter, you want your intensity to increase, and you want your recovery between those repetitions to decrease. So again, this doesn't happen overnight. You have to allow the allotted time for your body to adapt to each stress you're throwing. But if you're patient enough and you're setting up your training correctly, you will get fit enough to break a sub 5-minute mile. Now again, if you're a 7-minute miler right now, breaking a 5-minute mile is maybe a little bit too aggressive, but I like that type of attitude. I like that mindset that you have. So don't necessarily say, I'm a 7-minute miler, I'll never break 5 minutes. Just continue to really drill down on the goal race pace that you're trying to go for, and practice that, and continue to implement strategies. Listen to these videos, listen to my past videos, go to RunDreamAchieve.com, surround yourself with the right people. All of these things really will factor into helping you become a sub 5-minute miler. Next thing is really working on overall raw leg speed. So I would be doing 10 times 200 meters between 41 seconds and 42 seconds with a 90-second rest earlier on in my training. And then as I got fitter, I would be focusing on doing that same amount of 200s, but possibly a few more, maybe starting off at 10 times 200s in 41 to 42 seconds with a 90-second rest, and then maybe going between 12 to 16 times 200 meters in 37 to 38 seconds per rep, but only giving myself 60 seconds rest. So again, these 200s are is a perfect example of a VO2 max workout. You can only spend a few seconds at these particular efforts because you've got an enormous amount of lactic acid buildup that's building up in your bloodstream. So that's the key, though. You want to train at efforts that are so fast that you're not going to be able to sustain it for very long, but you're allowing your body time to adapt to those particular speed workouts. And then you're also doing the other aspects of successful training: jogging on your recovery days, doing do long runs, run easy, jog on your easy days. So doing these types, the tempos, the 8 by 400 meter repetitions to 12 400s, doing 200s, doing 3 times 1 mile earlier on in your training in 5 minutes and 30 seconds with a 4-minute rest. And then as you adapt to that, again, I would focus on doing 3 times 1 mile on the track or on the roads for 3 weeks, and then moving into, again, doing about 21 days of allowing your body time to adapt, which takes between 3 weeks and 21 days. And then eventually, as you get fitter, get to a point where before you start into your taper phase, get to a point where you can do 3 1-mile repetitions in between 5 minutes and 23 seconds to 5:25 per rep, but only giving yourself 3 minutes rest in between each rep. So again, I think a combination of these types of sub 5-minute mile workouts will help you become a sub 5-minute miler. Now, there are obviously other components that go into successful training for running a mile. You have to visualize success. The mental training is often neglected. Athletes obviously focus most of their attention on physical training, but it's also about mental training as well. The best athletes that I've trained with over the years, and the things that I've done over the years to become a 422 miler, a 219 marathoner, is visualization, focusing on training your subconscious mind to do something that you want to do before it occurs. You have to see it here first. So especially if you're a sub 5-minute miler, or you want to become a sub 5-minute miler, you have to visualize success. It's not just about the physical training. It's also about the rest period. What are you doing off the track and off the roads? Are you paying attention to your nutrition? Are you hydrating well after your workouts? What are you paying attention to? Focus on positivity. There's enough negative news on already. Focus on the things that are going to uplift you and empower you and motivate you to become a sub 5-minute miler. So I hope this video has been helpful for you guys. If you have another specific question about the mile or something I've done in the past, if you want to know any questions about how I got down to 422 or how I got involved in running, whatever specific question you have, or it's something about your particular event, whether that's a 5K or 5 mile or marathon, leave me a comment below this video and I'll reach out to you and respond. So I hope you guys have a great week of training. Definitely, if you're getting close to the sub 5-minute mile, these particular sub 5 mile workouts are what you want to be focusing on. And again, if you want to know exactly what you need to be doing on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis to break a sub 5-minute mile, I also have a sub 5-minute mile training program on RunDreamAchieve.com. I'll leave links below this video, and that will provide additional insight for you if you want to invest in yourself. I definitely believe in self-development myself. I've invested thousands of dollars myself on training and getting better to make the next jump in my own training. So I hope this video and I hope those resources that are below this video are helpful to you. So have a great week of training, and I'll talk to you guys all in the next video.